Hey everybody, I'm coming to you from the bottom of the hillside garden, and today we're going to talk about Ilex vomitoria Schillings. So these large specimens, 1, 2, 3, 4, are our best specimens of Schillings dwarf Yaupon holly. There's a couple more down here that I gave a rejuvenation pruning to early in the summer, and you can see they're starting to emerge again. So probably after the first of the year, I'm going to, let me get out of the sun here. I'm going to cut these large specimens down and allow them to do the same thing, because these have gotten a little big for this area, a little out of scale. So for this plant, the leaf arrangement is alternate. The leaf form is simple, and the leaf margin is serrated. These are a shrub, broadleaf and evergreen. They are considered dwarf, although our very old specimens there are just on the outside of dwarf now. But they are typically maintained as a dwarf. Their form is naturally rounded. Believe it or not, the last time the large ones were head sheared was 2 falls ago. So they are just naturally have a nice rounded form. Not picky about soil, not picky about moisture. As I just said for pruning info, these are easily maintained by head shearing. Totally appropriate with this plant. The growth rate is considered average. Exposure to light is sun. Climactic hardiness zones are 7 through 10. So these are a more southern plant for sure. Landscape uses: foundation, hedge, low border, or topiary. The flowers are considered insignificant. The fruit are considered insignificant. No notable autumn color. No notable bark characteristics. No notable cultivar. This is the cultivar. Pests and diseases. These suffer from spider mites, nematodes, leaf miner, and leaf spot. While Ilex vomitoria itself is a native plant, Schillings dwarf, we don't consider it a native because it is a cultivar and it needs human intervention to be maintained. So not a North Carolina native, not a U.S. native, not invasive. It is salt tolerant, which is good to know. So what do we know about hollies? We know that hollies are all dioecious. So Schillings dwarf is a male cultivar, so it will not ever produce fruit. It has a very, very dense growth habit. When it flushes with new growth, the new growth and the stem tips are often kind of burgundy in color. And it's also important to note that this plant is often wider than it is tall. You can see here its backside is shaded, and so most of its growth is pushing out towards the sunny side. But if it were equidistant from the center of the plant, it would definitely be wider than it is tall. This plant is often used in replacement of Ilex crenata, which is our Japanese holly. Japanese hollies tend to have, there's many cultivars that have these little tiny leaves, very popular for hedge sheared use. So that's as low borders or formal gardens or just meatballs in people's yard, just that nice green sphere in their landscape. But they suffer from black knot root rot. I always transpose that, black knot root rot. This one, however, does not suffer from black knot root rot, so that's an improvement. I know many years ago, early on in my career, we planted a lot of filigrees at the Pinehurst Hotel, initially in Ilex crenata stokes. They all succumbed over time and were gradually transitioned out with this plant, and they've done well. So just so you know, I don't have your page numbers written down, but we are at the lower hillside by the butterfly garden.